Welcome back to the Tongue of the Trees. I'm Elizabeth Ashley, the Secret Healer, and this is what is Mandarin essential oil for. And this is just great for me because I can just sit here and get paid for just wafting my favourite oil under my nose. Just beautiful. So if you think about how it affects you emotionally, it's so uplifting. It's playful, it's joyful. You can feel it kind of just taking the stress away from here. If you think, well, how does it make you feel? It's just delightful, just delightful. My mum always talks about how she thinks it's like afternoon tea at Raffles. You know, everybody's very dignified. They've got their white suits on, you know, and they're going back to Singapore in the 1940s and got the beautiful hats on. And the ladies are so refined and they're perfectly made up and speaking beautifully. Fine bone china, you know, it's all very elegant, darling. It's all very, we don't go anywhere where we're going to say, we certainly won't talk about politics, or we definitely won't be going into religion, darling. You know, this is just general chit-chat kind of thing. I feel like Joanna Lumley. I can't maintain that for very long. But it's just that lightness, you know, darling. It's just so very genteel. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And it is playful, you know, there's nothing serious about it. It's just very, very light, but in the same way, it is incredibly dignified. You know, one behaves oneself when one has Mandarin. Not like grapefruit who shows you your knickers, you know? She doesn't care. She doesn't care at all. She's kicking a can and she'll show you her cellulite. She doesn't care. But no. So let me read you the poem that comes from the Tongue of the Trees. So the key word is playfulness. I should show you the card, but I haven't got it out. So it says, I remember when you felt Mandarin's energy before. I hardly exist in adulthood now. Remember how you used to snigger in class? How you had to stifle the giggle lest the teacher see? And the more you tried not to smile, you could feel the laughter bubbling out. There I am. See? You remember laughter and lightness in a bottle. A glorious sense of mirth that just fizzes up in your belly. Such wonderful medicine. Suddenly, life seems simpler, lighter, and it just seems easier to enjoy somehow. Childlike innocence. It's gentle, refined, and convivial. Summer party dresses, fruity cocktails, and bunting, all ready to burst into song. Feel the atmosphere change and follow my lead into a foxtrot around the town. It's lovely. And it's very interesting. If you go down to the bottom of the page in the Tongue of the Trees book, it gives you much more information. Although there's only one word, it talks about whole archetypes. So what's interesting is, A, it works on the solar plexus energy, like so many of the citrus oils do, that it speaks of self-esteem, confidence, that you know, if you watch Strictly Come Dancing, how they have that beautiful core frame where it's rigid from practice and just presenting the beautiful, beautiful outward frame that is confident and reassured and strong. All of that is citrus energy. That beautiful, strong core, strength at the core, even psychological core. But also, it's ruled by Libra. And Libra is always about the other person. Yes, it's balance. It's always balance. But it's always about, what would you like to do? What do you want? What's interesting to you? And so then we have this beautiful conversationalist, don't you? That is the key of a good conversation, isn't it? What do you tell me about you? What do you like? What's interesting to you? Have you watched that? Have you done that? What do you think of that? There she is. There she is. Otherwise, it's just like, well, actually, next after this, I'm going to do Laurel. And Laurel is all about, I am amazing. I am resilient. You know, it's all about I. Whereas anything ruled by Libra is about you. And it's about conversation and chatter and being garrulous and confident, excellent communication. Beautiful, really beautiful. One should be aware, however, that it aggravates Vata. So the Vata is drifty and floaty and nebulous thoughts and not finishing things and not really turning up to where you're supposed to be and not eating your dinner when you're supposed to and lack of routine. Be careful. You can drift off. You can become too flighty. But as I say, the mental side is just wonder and innocence and full of mirth, dignified. But it's childlike, but it's sensible, you know, but well behaved, yeah? Sunday school. And the spiritual aspect, you can guess, of course. It helps you reconnect with that inner child. It brings that playfulness out. It brings that remembrance, that lightness, that, God, forget the bills for a minute. Let's just do something creative. Let's just do something merry. Merry, I haven't written the word merry. Merry is a great word, you know. Convivial, jovial, you know, all of that kind of giggly lightness. Mirth is just the perfect word. So I am going to show you the slides now, and then I'm going to show you a spread. And I'm pretty sure Mandarin doesn't show up in the spread. And for those of you who watch it all the time, I'm very sorry. You know now how long to skip. And I will be back in a minute to talk about the safety. And then we will go to Hungary and see what Gergely has to say about blending with Mandarin essential oil. And I know he uses lots of different Mandarins, so I'm wondering if he'll get involved in doing all the pentagrams and stuff that he uses with Mandarin. We shall see. I'm going to run through a quick layout for you to show you the different cards. Now, one of the things that we're not going to tell you in this video, in these videos, is the poem that goes with the cards. But for this layout, we will read them to you just so that you get a chance to sort of feel how the different poems look. So just thought I'd show you the cards. As you can see, lovely little box. I'll show you the other side. Boring stuff, except for cool stuff what I writ. Okay, so if we open it up, we can see that the cards just have one logo on, and that is because these originally were Gergely's cards. He's been selling these for a long time in Hungarian, in Hungary. Mostly they've been bought by kinesiologists, interestingly enough. They've been doing the energy work with them. They haven't got any aromatherapy background, but they've been able to tap into the energetics of the oils to be able to move emotional blockages. So let's show you. So these come out nice and easy because we've got beautiful little ribbons. And let's get rid of that. So if I said to the cards, what energy do I need? What oils will help me do the best job with these videos? Let's have a... Now my friend Belinda used these the other day, and she does have a habit of shuffling them the wrong way. So we'll have to hope that they're all the way right up. I'm not doing a good job of keeping them that way. So let's have a look. What do I need to do a great job? So I think, it's up to you how you do it, but I think cut it 3 ways, cut it back. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So first 3 cards off the top. Cedarwood Virginian. I'll tell you why I'm laughing at that in a minute. Rose and lavender. That's a beautiful blend, isn't it? Reason why I was laughing about a Cedarwood Virginian is when Gergely and I came to do the notes of all the different cards, we both went, oh, we've done these cards for Cedarwood Virginian and I don't really know how to explain them differently. And because I was doing lots of editing work, I went, oh, just leave it. So yesterday I did a meditation with Cedarwood Virginian and got the most beautiful, beautiful work out of it. So you must tap into that tomorrow, have a listen to that video and see it was really different stuff that came out. So let's have a look. So if we go to the book, we can see that there's a brown streak on cedarwood, and that tells us it's the woods. So we find the woods. Slowly but surely we find the woods. At the back. Okay, so I'm going to use the other cards just to cover up the other pages, because you know what? Sooner or later you're going to have to pay me for something. So, Cedarwood Virginian. Actually, I'll show you this, but I'll read it to you because I'm hoping that it doesn't turn back to front on you, but it may well do. So, Cedarwood Virginian says, hold strong. Don't be swayed by the winds of change around you. Stand tall. Resist the temptation to listen as the naysayers surround you. Keep focused on the job you have in hand. Remain strategic. Don't veer from tactics you've planned. Listen intently to information on the breeze. Remain determined. Your courage is what makes me pleased. Hold strong. Don't be swayed by the winds of change around you. Stand tall. Resist the temptation to listen as the naysayers surround you. Keep focused on the job you have in hand. Remain strategic. Don't veer from tactics you've planned. Listen intently to information on the breeze. Remain determined. Your courage is what makes me pleased. And I'd forgotten, I stopped halfway through because I'd forgotten this is the only one that went like around. It kept repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating. And that taps in beautifully to the determination, doesn't it? I'm keeping on reminding you. I'm keeping on reminding you. I'm keeping on reminding you. So, and actually, definitely watch the video on Cedarwood Virginian, because you'll see just how spooky that is when you see the meditation work I did. Now, you'll also see on here at the bottom of the page, there's the energetics. Now, we're not going to talk about these energetics at all in the video. You might want to go and buy our knowledge base. Now, the knowledge base is completely based on this, and it is a set of lessons on each of the aspects. So, middle to base. You're going to hear about that today when Gergely does his blending. So, that's there. It also vibrates on the throat chakra. So what does that mean? Within the knowledge base, there is a complete set of information about the different chakras. We do as a lecture on each different chakra, how it affects on the emotional body, how it affects the physical body, how it affects the mental and spiritual bodies, and how that's working. So when we're looking at the knowledge base, this information here describes how the energies move through the system. What energy shift has taken place that we are getting these different physical problems and mental issues. So we can see that Cedarwood Virginian operates on the water element and the earth element. And again, in the knowledge base, there's a complete section about, we talk about the about half an hour about the water element, then again about half an hour for the earth element, metal, fire, and whatever the other one is, gone out of my head. And then here we can see Sagittarius. Now, so that tells us that what planetary rulership it comes under. This is medical astrology, and this is actually how I see the different energetics playing out. Some people see it through the Ayurvedic, some people see it through Chinese medicine. This is always the lens I see it through. And usually we'll talk about how it's ruled by the moon or the sun or Saturn and the different trends that we see out. And when we look at an archetype like that, it's like Jade Shoots always says it's like a metaphor, and that's a great analogy of how you can see the thread playing out right across the medicine. And so you can see that Cedarwood Virginian is Sagittarius. So in the knowledge base, we talk about the different signs and planets and also the different houses. If I remember right, Angelica, for example, falls under the Pisces Aries cusp. So that's really quite a difficult one to understand. There's a whole lesson about the Pisces Aries cusp. And then again, Chinese medicine, it nourishes yin. What does that mean? What does it mean? It calms Shen. Shen is an interesting phenomenon all in its own right. It's the consciousness, our mental faculties, our imagination, our emotions, God with a small g, God with a big G. All of those aspects is a complete lesson about Shen and how the essential oils can affect it and change that to move the energy. And then we can see increases Pitta, reduces Vata, balances Kapha. So it's interesting, actually. I do know at the moment all of my oils tend to come out with earth energy. It's quite interesting hearing me do the earth energy lecture because it's entirely about the challenges I am facing at the moment. But if you are somebody who sells essential oils and you're looking for a way in all of the time, right? You're talking to the person at the school gate, for example, and you can see, you know, she seems a healthy girl, to be honest. She's loving her kids, she seems happy. Imagine somebody who's got a really sing-song voice all the time. Oh, my darling, how did you get on today? Was it lovely? I know. And then child walks off. How are you? To everybody. If that sing-song voice never quite relents, then you can imagine that there's an earth energy imbalance. So any oils that fall under earth energy are good ones to sell. So yeah, if you are interested in learning more about that, ways in, just kind of being able to see, talking to somebody, what might be clues of what's going on of that energetic shift, then head over the knowledge base to have a look at that. So what was our next card? It was Rose, wasn't it? Queen of Roses, as you know. I do love my roses. Let's have a look. So the flowers, I think, are at the front of the book, if I remember rightly. Beautiful pink. Oh, they're both flowers, aren't they? So rose, rose, rose. Damask rose. I was thinking we'd miss Rose out, but it's not under Duff for Rose. It's under, sorry, it's not Rough for Rose. It's Duff for Damask rose. I remember writing this one, actually. This is quite sad. So it says, standing by your graveside or sobbing into your pillow, I know your pain. On the days when you feel lonely, worried or sad, I know your pain. Through the nights where sleep seems far away and you feel like you might break, amidst the anger, the confusion and desolation, I feel your pain. For I was there, remember? When you smelled the roses of their love as your fingertips stroked my petals and tried to avoid the prick of thorn. I felt your hopes, your fears, your joy of deep connection. I ensnared it in my scent to help conjure that affection. In my fragrance, remember hope. Let my aroma you complete. May scent of celebration heal you, calm you and help you sleep. For through me you are never alone, always loved and open to give and receive more. Smell me, open up and feel safe to feel love once more. Now I anticipate that these will be different for everybody, but that's entirely my dad talking to me. I feel quite choked up reading that, actually. When he died in gave me a rose bush. My cousin works for a rose bush company, David Austin Roses. I'm sure you've heard of them. He's quite a senior manager there, and Dad arranged for a rose called Noble Anthony to be given to me and my sisters at the funeral. So I go and sit and talk to the rose bush. That's a great reminder that my dad's with me today. So that actually, Dad, that really helps. Thank you. So let's have a look at the energetics. We can see middle heart chakra, obviously. Water. Now, again, as I say, in the knowledge base, there is a much bigger lecture on water, but the energy of water is how it can flow around any obstacle and find a way to fill the space. So that's great. That's lovely. And Venus is obviously the planet of love, but there's lots more to do with beauty and and money. Actually, it's an interesting lecture on Venus. I like talking about Venus. Balance is Vata, Pitta and Kapha. If you don't know, Vata is very drying, Pitta is hot and fiery and moist, and Kapha is sluggish. So it brings it all into alignment. But in the knowledge base, as I say, different lectures on each of those. So it nourishes the blood. Well, I've got funny blood, actually, so that's useful to know, Dad. Thank you. Yin and essence. So yin is the feminine aspect. It's very gentle and passive and receptive, and it harmonizes the heart and Shen. We just talked about Shen. So we're going to put all these in a blend in a minute. And so last but not least, the cards have told me that I should go for lavender, which I guess is probably just over the page. Still in the pinks, as you can see. Oh, I remember this one too. Cover them up, cover them up. Can you see? There we go. Lavender's blue, dilly dilly, lavender's green. When you breathe me, dilly dilly, softly you dream. Anger and grief, dilly dilly, softly drift by. Worries and hurts, dilly dilly, kiss them goodbye. When you feel tense, dilly dilly, look for the bees. See how they buzz, dilly dilly, resting with ease. Learn from their hum, dilly dilly, for they all know. Learning to rest, dilly dilly, helps you to grow. Breathe in the scent, dilly dilly, lavender's light. Calm your stressed mind, honey, honey, surrender the fight. Release cares and worries, dilly dilly, I help you to see. Life is so good, dilly dilly, just let it be. Okay, I'm going to let them flow, not force them. This helps, this really helps, you know. I've got to tell you, when I was helping Gergley do this, he was sending me his notes, and every time they came across it, I was like, oh my goodness, I've got to do the cards. These are really hard. Didn't like my poems at all. Really found them difficult to do, and really I just wanted to be writing my Melissa book, which I kind of still do, but I'm feeling a bit happier. Now I've got the cards in my hands and I can see them because they really help. Honestly, they really, really help. So, and of course I might be biased because it's my words talking back to me, but hearing the plants and seeing it written down, it's very, very helpful. So, actually I've probably skipped the most valuable part of the process for speed. But when you turn out your cards, if you have got the oils, I would sit and breathe the oil as you read the poem. And that's very difficult to do on this camera like this, but because then you will really hear, you'll have that connection with the plant. It will open it up to you. So top to middle note, as I say, Gergley's going to talk to us about the blending. Water, we've just talked about how that finds ways, effortlessly finds gaps to do things, doesn't force it, just gets around any obstacle. Heart chakra again. Mercury, communication, data, information. Yeah, that's very mercurial medicine. We'll talk about that. I know there's a very interesting lecture about Mercury. I originally wrote the Mercury ropes for the pain practitioner program. And so these are quite detailed lectures, about half an hour long, the medical astrology ones, because of course this is That's my passion. Neutral to cool is the action. Yeah, cooling like the roses. Activates chi. Now again, we'll talk about chi in the knowledge base, but basically it's the life force. You know how we said we talked about Shen? Well, if Shen doesn't have adequate chi forcing it through, then it becomes disrupted. And I always think about it feeling like you're treading water. So the activation of chi calms Shen, or nourishes Shen, or raises Shen, depending on which essential oil it is. It aggravates Vata. So yes, this is one of my favourite nags. So the world tells you to put lavender essential oil into every massage oil, into your moisturiser, into your bath. So it aggravates Vata, people. It will dry you out. That is how you get dry skin. Aggravates Vata, makes you a bit vapid, a bit dreamy. So all of the time you're like, you know, like the dreamers that wander around on a cloud. If you're not careful, too much lavender makes you that. Pacifies Kapha. So it stops you feeling sluggish, stops you feeling heavy. It's not really directly indicated for constipation, but that shift of energy through Kapha would release not only constipation, but congestion in the sinuses. And pacifies Pitta. Well, Pitta is hot, so it's calming. It reduces inflammation. Anything that's red, hot, angry, it'll calm it down. So there we go. So first, I've got my smelly stick. And really, this is only because then I can stick it down my top and you won't be able to see it. So we could use aroma pendants, we could use massage oil, sniffy sticks, whatever. This is just what works for me, and that's the most important thing, that it's the thing that works for you. So cedarwood Virginian is a fast oil, if I remember rightly. So this is quite a thin distillation. Ooh. And then we'll mop up everything off the table. Dip it up, wipe it up. Oh, it's so beautiful, it's smoky. It's beautiful, and I can tell you the lecture is about tapping into your ancestral line, and given that my ancestral line is full of wizards and witches, that's very helpful. Lots of plant healers coming to my aid. So a bit of lavender. Warm the bottle. You'll notice I cover the thing. It's not because I'm covering the labels, although it's because I can't be bothered going, don't ask me which oils I use, but it's more because it's very cold in this shed, so things get stiff, especially myrrh. Goodness me, when we come to do the myrrh video, I have to warm it up 3 weeks before. And then beautiful, beautiful rose. Look at the colour of that. Beautiful. It's my favourite bit, you know, was it waiting for it to come out, just seeing the colour. Have I got the nerve to let it drop? I have. Go on, mix, 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 blend. You know, whenever I try and do videos, I always want to have the image of oils mixing, and it never quite, nobody ever quite videos that effectively. I think it would be beautiful. Look at that. Oh my goodness, that is sheer heaven. Just beautiful. So yeah, if you obviously want to buy the cards, there's a link underneath that tells you where to get them from. But also, if you want to use the knowledge base, there's a link through to that too. And goodness me, when you start to smell that and you feel all the knowledge base opening up all the different shifts in the body and how they move and how they're executing through the physical body, it's really extraordinary. It's a whole new layer to plant medicine. So there we go. That is how to do the blending. Can't wait for you to watch Gerglo talk about proper blending. I love the spread. I always watch it when I'm doing the editing, but I'm sure some of you must be that sick of it by now. But you're stuck with it because I'm not changing it. So, safety. Well, very, very easy to use Mandarin oil. Such a gentle oil, such a safe oil. Be careful of the usual things with expressed oils. If it's an old oil, the monoterpenes will decay and oxidize. They will cause skin sensitivity. When the aldehydes start to go, you will lose that beautiful sunshineness, the juiciness. It will just go, and the fragrance will go flat. So make sure you replace your Mandarin essential oil often. And probably I'm saying something I shouldn't now, but I'm gonna. So I have a subscription with Absolute Aromas on Amazon, and every 6 months they automatically send me a new bottle of Mandarin. And then when that's done, when that comes, this one gets relegated, but it doesn't get relegated far, because then it just goes into all my evaporator blends, onto my aroma pendants. I use it in candles, all of those things, because I haven't got to worry about it on my skin then, have I? This is an oil I use plenty of, so therefore I have a regular supply. I just did the video for lime. I don't use lime enough to do that, but with Mandarin I definitely do. So maximum dilution, I would say I'm happy with 3% dilution. If you can't remember how to do that, we have a teaspoon of carrier, just a teaspoon. A teaspoon is 5 ml, and we say that on 1 ml is made up of around about 20 drops of oil. It's a very approximate thing because of the viscosity of the oil. Some will be thicker, some will be thinner, but 20 drops is about right. And so 5 lots of that will be 100 drops. So to do a maximum dilution of 3%, we can safely do 3 drops of Mandarin essential oil into that. Actually, it's slightly more, because it should be 97 drops of carrier oil and 3 drops of essential oil, but who cares that much? I certainly do not. If you are going to use on a child, I would say with any essential oil, I wouldn't feel comfortable till they're about 6 months old using it on their skin, really, to be honest, because the natural oils haven't established themselves, and they can be very reactive. But see, this is a really good oil to use for colic, for example. So maybe if you put 1 drop into a lovely big sink full of warm water, and then put your flannel in, face cloth, and squeezed it out, and then put that on baby's belly, that's not going to harm anybody, to be honest. But just be really, really careful. I would only work at 1% dilution, or even 0.5% dilution for little ones. It is safe in pregnancy after 16 weeks, perfectly safe around the children, perfectly safe around the cats and dogs, I should say. Please don't let the children drink or eat the essential oil. Now I've said around children. And I think that's all I need to say, really. Just remember about the phototoxicity. If it has been made by expression or compression, then there is a possibility that one could suffer from phototoxicity. Take it down to 0.5% and I think you would probably lose that possibility. But anyway, remember, there's no need to put it on the skin. Just as an aside, it is an oil that I would safely and happily put 1 drop in my bath. I quite often do lavender chamomile Mandarin in the bath, and to help me sleep. So it's not one that's going to be irritating, but remember that I am meticulous about replacing, and so I definitely don't have an old oil, so be careful of that. But otherwise, just beautiful, very easy, very, very easy. And I would recommend everybody had Mandarin in their box. So if we're going to have everybody having Mandarin in their box, then we need to know how to blend it. So let's go and see what Gagley has to say about blending Mandarin essential oil. I'm going to show you the slides first, incidentally. Then we'll go to Budapest.
Hello, this is Gergely, and this is my blending video part in video 2 for Mandarin. And look at the keyword, it's playfulness. So I could be joking the whole video, but I'm not going to joke the whole video. Playfulness, because Mandarin really reminds most of us of our childhood. And you know the smell of plays, the smell of parties, the smell of I don't know, Christmas and lots of other things, at least in Hungary, and I'm sure it's the same for you everywhere around the world. Those who actually had access to Mandarins, or it's in the culture. So Mandarin is some kind of an essential oil that always makes me happy, and no wonder probably everybody else. It has this uplifting, playful, zesty, sweet aroma and feeling. And I wanted to tell you a story because unfortunately not everybody has this uplifting or happy feeling of citruses. And this story that I'm going to tell you is not actually it's not about Mandarin, but it's about sweet orange. When I was doing my master apprenticeship with Jay Chutes about 15 years ago, then when I was reading through the material, I found one particular story about an American woman who, when she was growing up, I don't remember the city exactly, but when she was, and then, the part that I was reading, it was about olfactory memories and aromas and the mind, and and how aromatherapy works through the olfaction and good memories, and sort of like a lock and key mechanism. This is how it works. So that something brings you joy, and then you remember of a particularly positive moment, and then you have good feelings, and your body and your mind relaxes or reacts in a positive way. Now, but not everybody has this experience with citruses, and I remember that particular story of this American woman who was growing up in a city with a single mom and a sibling. And the mom, she was divorced, and she was dating different men, and one man particularly for a couple of months. And the guy was a heavy alcoholic and was coming home usually in the morning drunk. It is the time for breakfast for a lot of American families. And then for this little girl was the same when mom prepares freshly squeezed orange juice, right? And it's the same like citruses, mandarin, oranges, lemon, grapefruit, lime, and so on and so forth. So just, when most of us have a positive feeling about citruses, including mandarin, some people have bad connotations because this girl, when she was waking up preparing for school, that partner of her mom was coming home in the morning, usually drunk, and then quarreling and arguing, and was aggressive and shouting. And so with the smell of this sweet or the orange juice, which is in general with citruses, she wasn't well because it reminded her of these bad memories, of bad moments. Well, fortunately, most of us have actually good memories of Mandarin. Thinking about Christmas time, or parties with our fellow students from school or from kindergarten, or any kind of festivities. So we have positive memories of Mandarin. Now, when I was meeting Mandarin essential oil first, I really loved it, with just as I love the fruits. And years later, I purchased an essential oil from a company. And when I received a little bottle and opened it up, then I smelled it and I was like, this is kind of different. Why is that so? And I looked at the little dropper in the bottle and I saw it was kind of greenish. So I had one drop out on the table and I see it's green in color. And so that's when I discovered that there is green mandarin. And there's also yellow mandarin, or sometimes it's referred to white mandarin. The difference is that the green mandarin comes from the green unripe fruit that they pick, and that this is how they do the expression of the essential oil from the rinds. And it has that kind of green, really like that green, a little bit smoky, a little bit, I don't even know how to describe, But definitely there's a difference because one is really green and the yellow or white mandarin is pretty much sweet. Okay? Well, either of them, citruses in general, are top notes. That's for sure. We can pinpoint that, right? And if I really wanted to describe, then the aroma, I would say it's sweet, fresh. Well, yellow mandarins are sweet. Definitely both mandarins are fresh. But it's a very full-bodied essential oil with citrusy, very strong citrusy smell and fruity, and in general, I would say warm and radiant. Now, what does it blend well with? Well, it blends well with a lot of essential oils. And mandarin is really, as I would call, jack of all trades lavender for me in blending, because not on the therapeutic side necessarily, but when I'm talking about blending, for example, botanical perfumery. So it blends well with a lot of the other citruses, it's obvious, then also with cypress or frankincense, and especially the Boswellia carteri type, because there's at least I know of about like 5 or 6 different frankincense type of essential oils. They come from different species. So it goes well with rose geranium. It goes well with lavender or lavandin. But it also goes well with nutmeg, petitgrain, or peppermint, or some of the absolutes like rose and vanilla, or some of the CO2 products like vanilla CO2. Oh, it is great. But I also mentioned some of the flowers like lavender or lavandin, and also ylang ylang with all the fractions, but it goes well with complete the most for me. So safety, mandarin, as all the citruses are supposed to be phototoxic, and according to many of the sources that I'm working with, mandarin is probably the least phototoxic oil. But caution is always first. So first of all, you always do a patch test. Second of all, that be careful when you make products staying on the skin, less of the washed off products from the skin. And green mandarin, I think it's the best for natural perfumery for me. If you like this video, come back for the next one and all the others. In our videos and the recipe hubs, you find tons of recipes of mandarin. And I'll see you next time. And until that, happy blending.
I love seeing what he always has to say. But there aren't many oils I would say I am very good at blending. But to be honest, she blends herself. She really does. I'm sorry, Gagley, that was a moot point on your part. She mixes with everybody because that's her personality, you know. She can just mingle. So there we have it. Now let's just have a quick look, because I'm skipping forward a little bit this week. Gagley hasn't done the slides yet, so I can't tell you all of the recipes, but I can tell you my recipes that will be in the recipe hub this month. I have done a rub for shingles and chicken pox. This was designed when Dexter had horrible chicken pox, and this was just tremendous for taking the itching out and reducing it so that he could sleep. I've done a diffuser blend called Raffles that we used as a blend for afternoon tea, and those of you who know me will know that I use afternoon tea blends a lot at home. A blend for insomnia, an insomnia lotion, a colic massage oil. I've already talked about using it for the warm flannel, but I also have a massage oil for colic. A meditation blend to help you get in touch with your inner child, aroma pendant for people who are depressed, And yes, a stretch mark cream. And looking at that recipe, I can't believe that I forgot that I've done that, because that is luscious. So anything on top of that will be ones that Gergley has done. Another 3 or 4 I'll guess. And so if you want to get the recipe hub, remember all of the recipes, we're on, I don't know, I think we're on oil 34 now, so that would mean there is around about 340 recipes for you on video, around about 7 or 8 minutes, where we look at the blending. We make sure it's with good oils that blend well aromatically, that they are safe in terms of contraindications, in terms of dilution, in terms of medicines and different conditions, and we list all of those for you. So each video is around about 5, 7, 8, some are 14 minutes long, but those are my most boring waffle ones. So there we have it. That is this week's recipe hub entries. And of course, what is Mandarin essential oil good for? And I look forward to telling you more about another oil next week.